Ladies and gentlemen, here is a calm, spiritual, and powerful introduction inspired by Shi Heng Yi's signature style for your motivational speech, titled How to Stay Strong When People Try to Break You. In the stillness of early morning, before the noise of the world begins, there is a moment of clarity, a moment where your soul whispers truths that the world tries to make you forget. In that space, you remember, you were not born weak. You were not created to crumble under pressure, nor to surrender your essence to the hands of those who misunderstand your purpose. There will be times when others aim to tear you down, not because of your weakness, but because they see your light and it unsettles their shadows. The words they throw, the silence they give, the rejection they offer, it's all meant to shape you, to test the strength that was already placed within you. Strength is not loud. It does not shout in the face of opposition. True strength is like the mountain. It does not move for storms, it allows them to pass. You are that mountain. You are not here to react. You are here to remain calm, grounded, unshaken. So today, let us enter the space within. Let us walk through the fire with stillness. Let us not fight the attempts to break us, but understand them, grow from them, and transform because of them. This is the journey of remaining strong, not through resistance, but through inner mastery. The strength within you is revealed, not built, when pressure is applied. Resistance is your teacher. In the silence of your trials, in the invisible moments when others underestimate you, mock you, or try to tear you apart, something ancient within begins to stir. It is not a reaction, not anger, not even hurt. It is awareness. That awareness is the doorway to strength. Most people believe they must gather strength from the outside, inspirations, affirmations, validations. But true strength was never meant to be collected. It is uncovered, like the sculptor removing what is unnecessary from the stone. Life removes the illusions around your spirit through trials, misunderstandings, betrayals, and pressure. When people try to break you, they are unknowingly becoming your silent trainers. Every harsh word, every act of doubt, every time someone walks away or speaks behind your back, they are the resistance. And resistance is not something to fear. It is something to feel fully. Just as muscles grow under the weight of tension and strain, so too does your inner core expand when it is challenged. It is easy to remain calm when everyone supports you. It is effortless to feel peace when no one is provoking you. But these moments do not reveal you. They simply maintain what already exists. The revealing happens when you are pushed to the edge and choose not to fall, when your spirit is pressed and you choose not to break. That is the birthplace of strength. You don't need to fight the resistance. You don't need to argue or prove yourself to those who don't see your worth. What you need is stillness. Stillness is not passive, it is active awareness. It allows you to observe the pressure without becoming it. It teaches you to watch without absorbing, to listen without reacting, to stand firm without closing off. This is the way of inner warriors. They are not loud, they are not aggressive, they are rooted, and roots grow stronger not in comfort, but in the storms. If someone tries to humiliate you, and you respond with silence, not out of weakness but wisdom, you have won a battle not against them, but within yourself. Each time you choose restraint over reaction, presence over panic, acceptance over attachment, you are growing. You are becoming unshakable, not because nothing touches you, but because nothing defines you. Pressure does not create you. It uncovers what you forgot was there all along. Even nature shows this truth. Diamonds are formed under extreme pressure. Trees grow deeper roots when winds are fierce. And rivers carve mountains not through force, but through steady persistence. So when life brings resistance in the form of people who wish to break you, remember, they are playing their part in your awakening. They are showing you the parts of yourself that still seek validation, that still react, that still cling. And in this way, they are guiding you toward the deepest source of power. Detachment from illusion and alignment with essence. Strength is not about appearing unaffected. It's about becoming aware of every feeling, every pain, every temptation to quit, and still remaining grounded. You don't escape resistance. You transform through it. And in that transformation, a different version of you emerges, one that is clearer, calmer, and more capable of standing still in the midst of the storm. Resistance doesn't mean you're going the wrong way. Sometimes it means you're walking the exact path that will reveal who you truly are. Detachment from others' opinions is not coldness. It is clarity in your own purpose. When you walk the path of growth, you must learn to distinguish between what is essential and what is noise. And often, the loudest noise comes not from the world, but from the minds of others, opinions formed through their own lens, judgments rooted in their own limitations, expectations shaped by their own fears. If you live responding to every voice that tries to shape you, you will lose yourself, not in one dramatic moment, but slowly, choice by choice, compromise by compromise, apology by apology, for simply being who you are. To detach is not to stop caring, it is to stop being controlled, controlled by praise, controlled by criticism, controlled by the endless cycle of trying to be enough in someone else's story. Detachment is not about building walls, it's about removing the strings. The strings that tie your peace to someone else's approval, the strings that tie your identity to someone else's view. When people try to break you with their words, their silence, or their actions, they are often trying to write your story for you. But you were not born to live a script written by another. Your soul carries a blueprint older than their opinions, more sacred than their judgments. There is deep wisdom in silence. When someone misunderstands you and you do not defend yourself, not out of pride but out of peace, you are demonstrating power. You are saying, I no longer need to be seen clearly by others to walk clearly with myself. That is clarity, and that clarity is born from detachment. You start to see that people see you not as you are, but as they are. Their projections are mirrors of their inner world. If someone sees you as a threat, it's not because you are dangerous, but because your presence confronts their comfort. If someone sees you as arrogant, it may be because your confidence unsettles their insecurity. Understanding this softens your heart but strengthens your stance. Detachment frees your energy. When you're not constantly worrying about how you're being perceived, you become available to something higher, your inner calling. You begin to walk with intention rather than reaction. You begin to choose with alignment rather than fear. And you start to notice how much noise fades when you're not trying to prove yourself. There is peace in knowing that you are not for everyone. There is strength in walking alone if it means walking in truth. When you are detached, you are not emotionless. You are centered. You feel everything, but you are not consumed. You are aware of opinions, but you are not driven by them. You hear criticism, but you do not shrink because of it. The more you grow, the more resistance you will face, and much of that resistance will come through others trying to put you back in the box they are comfortable with. You'll feel the pull to explain yourself, to tone yourself down, to make yourself digestible. But detachment gives you the courage to remain full even when others are not ready to receive you. It allows you to be gentle without being swayed, open without being vulnerable to manipulation, kind without being naive. You don't have to become indifferent. You just have to become rooted. And roots do not chase after every wind that blows. They hold steady. The opinions of others can only penetrate where you have not yet healed. Detachment invites you to look inward and ask, why does this affect me? And not to suppress the pain, but to understand it. Not to fight the voices, but to rise above their reach. And in doing so, you begin to live not as a reflection of opinions, but as an embodiment of purpose. Energy wasted on defending yourself is energy stolen from mastering yourself. Every time you engage in explaining who you are to those who have already decided what they want to believe, you leak power. Every moment spent justifying your path, your truth, your growth, is a moment diverted from building the very foundation that makes explanation unnecessary. When people try to break you with their assumptions, their accusations, or their misunderstanding, the instinct is often to prove your innocence, your value, your heart. But the deeper path, the inner path, each is something very different. It reveals that silence can be strength, stillness can be wisdom, and presence can be more powerful than argument. Defending yourself often comes from a place of fear, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being judged unfairly, fear of losing connection. But when you look closely, you begin to see that fear is a signal. It points to where your peace is still dependent on others. And mastery begins when you turn your gaze inward, when you say, "Let me understand why this affects me, not just who caused it." People will always have something to say. Their words can be projections of their pain, their limitations, or their envy. If you chase down every comment to correct it, you will lose your rhythm. You will lose the quiet inner focus needed to refine your own path. To master yourself is to know where your energy belongs. It belongs to your breath, your discipline, your thoughts, your alignment. It belongs to your healing, your vision, your silence. You cannot build inner stillness while trying to control outer noise. Let the noise exist, let the voices talk, but remain with your practice. The practice of returning to yourself when others try to pull you out of alignment. The practice of asking, "Does this deserve my energy, or is this a test of my presence?" There is a subtle power in non-response. Not every attack deserves attention. Not every slight needs a counter. When you begin to grow, people will become uncomfortable. When you choose solitude over validation, clarity over confusion, progress over people pleasing, you will be misunderstood. But mastery does not require agreement. It requires commitment. Commitment to still walking your path even when others don't understand it. Commitment to remaining focused even when distractions come in the form of criticism or drama. Commitment to remaining true even when being false would be more accepted. What people say about you does not define you. What you chase to correct defines your focus, and your focus is your most sacred power. Protect it. Pour it into your rituals, your reflection, your evolution. When you spend your energy defending your light, you delay your glow. Let people misunderstand. Let them speak. Let them doubt. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to understand yourself deeply. That understanding becomes your shield. That understanding becomes your guide. You don't owe explanations to those who are not seeking truth. You don't need to convert skeptics. You don't have to carry the burden of being liked. All of these things dilute your energy. All of these things distract from the real work, the work of becoming unshakable, the work of listening to your own voice when others get loud, the work of facing your flaws without shame and your strengths without arrogance. Self-mastery begins where self-defense ends, not because you are perfect, but because you are intentional, and intention gives you the clarity to choose where your energy flows. Choose to build rather than defend. Choose to grow rather than explain. Choose to hold your power rather than scatter it through reaction. Stillness in the face of chaos is not weakness. It is disciplined power. When the world around you becomes loud, when people raise their voices, when situations begin to spin out of control, the instinct may be to match the intensity, to speak louder, to move faster, to react quicker. But what truly reveals strength is the one who remains calm, not out of passivity, but from a deep and practiced discipline that says, "I will not be moved by everything around me." Stillness is not born from lack of feeling. It is born from mastery of feeling. It is what allows you to sense everything yet choose your response carefully, rather than giving your energy to impulse or fear. Most people misunderstand stillness. They believe it is withdrawal, or that it signals indifference. But those who have practiced stillness know that it takes more effort to stay centered than it does to lash out. Anyone can react. Anyone can scream back, defend themselves, strike with words, or walk away in anger. But it takes cultivated strength to pause, to watch the fire without becoming the flame, to hold your breath steady when everything around you tries to suffocate your peace. This is not weakness. It is refined power. The kind of power that cannot be provoked easily because it is not rooted in ego but in awareness. Chaos often arrives uninvited. It may come through people, those who try to provoke you, manipulate your emotions, or test your patience. It may come through situations, unexpected challenges, betrayal, sudden loss, or injustice. But chaos in whatever form always offers the same opportunity to choose the internal over the external, to choose groundedness over reactivity. Each moment of chaos is a chance to train your attention, to return it to the breath, to the body, to the now. To say, though this storm rages outside of me, I do not have to let it enter me. And this choice, repeated often, transforms your entire inner world. Stillness requires presence. It is not something you can fake. You cannot appear still while your mind runs wild with judgment, fear, or resentment. True stillness comes when you have faced yourself enough times that your emotions no longer control your direction. They may rise, they may fall, but they do not dictate your next step. You observe them like clouds moving across a vast sky, and you return, again and again, to that open space within you where nothing is missing, nothing is broken, and nothing needs defending. In stillness, there is insight. You begin to hear what is really being said beneath people's words. You begin to notice the pattern in your reactions. You begin to see where your peace is still conditional and what habits still pull you away from presence. This is where your power grows, not in suppressing emotion, but in understanding it, not in ignoring the storm, but in choosing to remain the sky. To be still in chaos is to refuse to be programmed. It is to stand in a world that teaches you to be reactive and choose instead to be intentional. It is to walk slowly while others run in panic. It is to speak softly while others shout for attention. It is to make decisions not from urgency, but from clarity. Stillness doesn't mean you lack passion. It means your passion is not scattered. It means your energy is not leaking into every disruption that seeks to distract you. It means your life becomes directed by your vision, not your triggers. Stillness also creates space. Space to feel fully, space to respond wisely, space to decide whether something is worth your time or simply another test in disguise. That space is where your freedom lives. It's where healing begins. It's where clarity whispers truths that noise would otherwise drown out. In a world where many are slaves to momentum, stillness is a rebellion, a quiet, powerful stand that says, I am the master of my inner world, no matter what happens outside of me. Those who try to break you are only pointing to the places that need deeper roots, not harder walls. Every encounter with resistance, with judgment, with rejection, is not just an attack, it's a mirror. It reflects back to you the places where you still seek validation, where your sense of worth is tied to acceptance, where your identity is vulnerable to opinion. Many times when people try to hurt you, dismiss you, or betray you, the natural response is to build walls. To protect, to close, but building walls only traps the pain inside. What you truly need is not to block the world out, but to grow something deeper within yourself, roots that cannot be shaken when the winds of criticism blow. Roots are not visible, they are not praised, they are not glamorous, but they are essential. Without them, even the tallest tree will fall at the first storm. Your roots are your self-awareness, your spiritual foundation, your purpose, your sense of direction that does not rely on applause. Every time someone tries to belittle you or mock your path, you are being given a moment to dig deeper, not to defend who you are, but to know who you are. The more deeply you are rooted in that knowing, the less you will be moved by external pressure. The more storms you face, the stronger your roots must become. Life will often use people as instruments for growth. Even those who wish to harm you can unknowingly become your greatest teachers. Not because their actions are right, but because your reaction becomes the training ground for your evolution. Instead of asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" begin to ask, "What is this revealing within me?" Is it revealing a need for approval? A wound that hasn't been healed? A fear that still drives your decisions? In this way, the very people who try to break you end up guiding you toward your own unfinished work. They show you where you still rely on external strength, where your roots are shallow, where your confidence is conditional. To grow roots requires patience. It requires time in silence, in solitude, in reflection. It is not instant, it is not flashy, but it is unshakable. The deeper your roots, the more calm you will feel during storms, not because storms won't come, but because you've trained yourself to stand, to bend without breaking, to remain whole even when the world tries to pull you apart. Those who break easily are often those who have spent their energy building appearances instead of foundations. But you are being called to something greater than survival. You are being called to resilience. When someone tries to make you feel small, don't fight back with noise, grow back with depth. When someone mocks your dreams, don't shrink, root deeper into your vision. When someone betrays your trust, don't numb the pain, listen to it. Let it show you what needs healing. Let it teach you what still triggers you. Let it guide you to the parts of yourself that are still tied to outcomes or people for peace. The more rooted you are in truth, the less approval you will need. The more you grow from the inside, the less you will fear what comes from the outside. People will not always understand your path, and some will try to destroy it. But their attempt is not the problem. Your reaction is the teacher. Your discomfort is the lesson. Their resistance is simply an invitation for you to anchor yourself even deeper. You do not need to become harder to protect yourself. You need to become more grounded. Strong like the tree, flexible like the bamboo, rooted like the mountain. Strength is not in building walls so no one can hurt you. It is in building roots so deep that nothing can move you.